Why is it important for kids to engage in music at an early age? From musicality to multiculturalism, Ash Roye, father to 3 young children and master of all things musical, shares his wisdom. Not only has he performed with Ed Sheeran and Ghost Poet, he is now the school's programme manager for Music Masters, overseeing music provisions across London. He is also a trustee of Galleon's Music, runs live events and hosts the podcast Reflections. His savoir-faire makes for a sensational guest on this episode of Surviving Parenthood, a parenting podcast. Thanks for joining us, Ash.
More than welcome. Glad to be here.
Oh, good. So this is our second time.
Trying, yes.
Yes, we're going to persevere because last time we didn't get on too well with the technical stuff.
Tech was awful.
So you're here in my kitchen and you've got water and there's a candle and I've cleaned my kitchen floor.
And it's sparkling.
It's sparkling. Yeah. I've pulled out all the stops. Okay, so let's talk about your parenting setup at home. So you have Maya, who is 7.
Yep.
Raph, who is 5, and baby Marcus, who's just 1, right?
One next week.
One next week? He's literally adorable. I just want to make that face every time I see him. How's it all going?
It's going.
It's going. What's happening?
I can't lie. We've had a rough couple of weeks with bugs and kids vomiting one after the other. And snotty babies, like trying to find clothes that don't have a bit of snot all over it, where he's just rubbing it all over us. It's fun. Yeah, the joys of it all. But look, we've got a lovely set of kids who are very warm, very caring, and nice people to be around. And they like having me around, which I suppose is a bonus. So I try and enjoy that time with them where I can.
So they've got their dad at home for a little bit at the moment?
A little bit. I mean, it's kind of weird now that we're kind of getting more out of the pandemic mode. And they've had like 18 months of me pretty much working from home. Yeah. And now getting used to me being gone for 3 or 4 days a week now. Because it's still not quite more than that. Okay. But I did a full week a couple of weeks ago, which was weird for me, but it was even more weird for them because they haven't been used to me just not being there for the whole day. There was even a couple of days where I left before they got up and I didn't get back until they were asleep, which was even more strange for them. Which again means that I must be doing something right if they're missing me being around and wanting me to be around. And but yeah, we've got to go out there and we've got to do a bit of work as well, unfortunately. So
as we like to start off the interview with the same question, you've got to tell me, for my own personal benefit, a funny parenting moment or fail in the past. And if you don't have one, I will literally stand up and leave this kitchen and make you do the rest of the podcast by yourself.
Okay, that's fine. I'm good at talking on my own. That's fine. Look, I really struggled with this last time. Super struggled with this last time. And actually, again, when I was thinking about it, I think I thought of a more kind of serious one. Okay. That was, so Maya, our oldest daughter, she is a bit of a performer, a bit of a singer, always loved to grab a mic when she was growing up, just really always interested in that kind of thing. And yeah, my wife and my mother-in-law wanted to sign her up for this musical theatre school. And I was just like, no, she's too young. Yeah. No, I'm a musician. I want her to learn music from musicians first, and then she can do all that other stuff. She can grow into that. She'll be fine. No, I don't want her to do it. No, I'm a music man. She needs to learn from musicians first. Then we'll do that other stuff. Okay. And she'll get there. And I just had it in my head that she'd not learn everything the right way or not pick up all the best things. Okay. And I was so wrong. Like, it was the biggest fail because she's just blossomed and thrived in so many ways, going to this Saturday school and learning drama and singing and the arts, the musical theatre arts in general. She's becoming a great performer. She's growing in confidence. And they're giving her a lot of tools around just being confident and knowing how to express yourself, be that on stage or be that in a classroom, put your hand up, trying to ask a question or reading a book, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So there's so much she's picked up for it, and it would be amazing if we had musicianship in our local primary school and she was getting all of the stuff that I see on my day-to-day working basis. But we don't necessarily have that in ready access to us around here. But what she does have access to is actually developing her really well. And there are other things we can do to build up that musicianship. But it was definitely a fail on my part, I would say.
So isn't that interesting? Do you feel, I'm wondering if you have sort of a set expectation or you have expertise in a certain area, it might make a parent feel a little bit more sort of dogmatic in their idea or approach. Like, I'm just wondering, so I have a similar thing where I'm sometimes like a flat no on something, because of that's my experience, and therefore what my experience says dictates how I probably educate my kids. But I think as a parent, it's just that absolute unpredictability all the time. Yeah. It is every day, isn't it? It's the script get ripped up every single day.
And of course, your kids aren't you.
Yeah.
Like you're passing so much onto them. They are learning so many of your habits and again, the amount of people, whenever I go to like a family function and then people walk up to me and they say, you're Steve Roye's son, aren't you? It's like,
really?
Yeah. And they can just see it in the way that I walk and the way that I hold myself. Now, you don't tell your child how to walk or how to stand a certain way or be a certain way, but these are things that kids pick up subconsciously and just as they grow, it becomes a part of them, and it is part of them. So there are these things that we're passing on to them, but they are unique. They do have a completely different set of experiences than what you've got. So when they are thrown into these different situations, we can't necessarily assume that because we reacted a certain way, they're going to react the same way, because the chances are they may well not. Obviously, if you've done exactly the same thing that your parents did with you, that you're doing with them, then there's a good chance. But there's a different partner involved as well. You've got the other side of it coming into it, where in my case, their mother has a completely different upbringing to me, has a completely different lifestyle to me, or had a different lifestyle. So she's got different influences that she's putting into our kids. Combining with my influences mean that we've got a different child and a different setup. So we can't expect that just because we've had this experience that our child won't do well, or that our child will react in the same way that we did. And I think for me, because I went to performing arts college later in life and I had learned all that stuff at a later age, I just felt like she could pick it up at any time.
That was your experience.
And I felt like that was more important. It was more important when actually it's not. What's more important is doing. Get stuck in, start doing something, and especially an earlier age, so they can face it with a little less fear. Like when you're a child, there's part of you that doesn't have so much of a guard up all the time. Like you're open. If someone makes it fun and engaging, you're open to learning and engaging in that and taking it on and doing it one step at a time. The older you get, the more reserved you get, the more conscious you are of how people are looking at you and how people are thinking about you. And, all of those things start to come into play, and it becomes, there's more barriers for you to overcome to get stuck into the learning. Whereas now, like when they're young, get them into it, and then they can start working out which way they want to go and what they want to do with all the knowledge they've picked up and with whatever experiences the people around them have got to say, right, well, this is how it was for me. I don't know how it's going to be for you, but this is what we went through.
So you can guide them, can't you? You can sort of put them in the right direction. I'm just wondering, in terms of what you said there about your background. So when you said about the performing arts store, it was actually the Brits, wasn't it? So that's sort of a super competitive environment. But tell me about your experience there, and tell me about your journey into music.
I mean, Brit School was 3 amazing years of my life, without a shadow of a doubt. So again, I didn't learn a musical instrument when I was younger. Definitely was exposed to a lot of music through my parents. Was was heartbroken when my parents left the house to go to see Michael Jackson at Wembley Stadium, and they didn't take us with them. We just couldn't believe it. Yeah, well, we would have literally been crushed at a Michael Jackson concert at Wembley Stadium. But, you know, like, we were brought up with a lot of musical influence around us. Going to church, which again wasn't like a gospel church, it was just a Church of England church, but there was a live band there and there was a lot of musicality around it. And then going into secondary school, that's when I started learning instruments, and I started on the saxophone, doing a bit of piano and singing. And again, it was a boys' school. Most of the boys in the school didn't really take to the music teachers, didn't like what was going on there. So when it came for me, who had all these aspirations of being a musician and going down that road and wanting to do my music GCSE, I was the only person that applied. So they didn't run the course because they couldn't run it for just one person, which, again, should have been a massive barrier. But I stayed in the choir, kept on singing, applied to go to the Brits. And because of my commitment, the music teachers there wrote me a really nice reference, which I think probably, I've never seen it, but I feel like it definitely played a part in me kind of getting in there, because I didn't have any of these extra qualifications. I had my saxophone and I had some singing, and that was about it. But yeah, I got in and just learned about the music game. It was an amazing place where they really focused on the experience, you getting first-hand experience of doing things and being active. You're going to put on this show. We've got this TV studio. The media students are going to film you, and they're going to learn about putting a TV show together, and you guys are going to be the talent, and your project is to take this Bros song and you're going to cover it and you're going to perform it for our music show, which is going to be streamed around the school.
Wow.
You know, you're getting this real-time experience of just what it's like, and you can't not be excited and engaged and enthralled by it all, because you feel like you're a star to a certain extent, you know, and you're living it, and you're finding out about these realities of how to promote an event, how to put on an event, staging, lighting. And because again they had all the arts there, drama, arts, dance, musical theatre, like all of this creativity and different type of performance and arts in one place, you're just exposed to so much. And yeah, it was just a really great time and a really great environment. And I mean, it wasn't for everyone, and not everyone had a great experience, but most of the people that I speak to really have a lot of love for the place and what it gave for them, whether they went on to have careers in the music industry or not. It certainly shaped them and gave them some really, really special memories in life. So I feel very privileged to have been a Brit alumni, and we'll only ever speak highly of the place, because
that's amazing.
It was incredible.
So in terms of like your, you know, what you were saying there about how you engage so fully in such a stimulating environment, I know your job now is to be, you're the school's programme music manager for Music Masters, is that right?
Yeah.
Creating musical possibility for children who might not otherwise get that opportunity to have the power of music in their lives. I'm wondering, first of all, if you can tell me a bit about why it is so important for children to have affordable music opportunities, and then also tell me about why it's so important for kids to have music in their lives in general. What are your top tips?
So, I mean, music is amazing. It really is, obviously. I love it. But there's so much more that I've learned about it going into the education sector and finding out more about different things that you pick up from music that you just don't realise. So in terms of like making it available to all children, as much as we can do, music and the arts, as we've gone through the years, has definitely become more of a thing where it's only for those who can afford it and who have the extra money or have the extra time and support to be able to provide that for their kids and to be able to buy the instrument and find the lessons and practice with their child. It's a big commitment, and there's a lot that goes in with it. And again, it's becoming more of a thing that it is more for the privileged than it is for everyone. And music should definitely be for everyone. And everyone should have a chance to experience it and try it. And I'm very much an advocate for, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But if the discipline of learning an instrument and the different things that you take away from it, you're learning another language. You've got this music in front of you, and you're learning to decipher what these notes mean and how long they last for, and where their pitch is, and how that relates to the instrument that you're playing, and where you're supposed to put your fingers, and how you're supposed to blow, and how heavy you're supposed to press. There's all these different things that a child is having to think about whilst playing an instrument, or anyone is whilst playing an instrument. Now, if they're getting that as a child, and they're learning about focus, concentration, determination, resilience, and then the self-esteem that comes from just getting up and performing in front of people. Like, these are skills that aren't just specific to music. They're skills that kind of take you across in life, that take you into boardrooms and teach you how to get up and deliver a presentation. Thinking about surgeons and their hands. A violin player is having to do all of these things with their fingers and finding the right notes with one hand, and then using their bow and holding their bow correctly, and then making sure they're putting just the right amount of pressure on each string and moving around each string. So difficult. It's so hard. And again, that all these things tie into different walks of life and give children these skills, and taps into the creative side and the rational side, like their problem solving. The world needs more problem solvers, and the kids are, especially on a violin or a cello or a string instrument, which is what Music Masters kind of specializes in. They've got no buttons or frets to kind of tell them where the right note is. They've got to use their ear. They've got to kind of work it out as they go along and feel their way through it. So they're thinking, they're problem solving on the go. They're doing all of this. They're looking at the music. They're thinking about the people in front of them. It's just becoming these amazing little people, which we really, very rarely do we ever give them credit for, unless we've actually been in their shoes and actually played an instrument or been in that. But there's so much that comes with it. So there's that aspect. But for me also, there's the other aspect of it just, you not being afraid of thinking that something's not for you. So again, classical music, orchestras, it's seen as very elitist. When you look at an orchestra, everyone looks, very kind of in their very crisp suits. Everyone is very nice and professional. And again, it's not very multicultural either. And it's, again, like, it's seen as classical music is this elitist thing that is only for certain people. And it's not for just certain people. People listen to classical music all the time. There's so many films that are filled with classical music that, kids don't even realize that they're listening to and engaging with. It's not that it's not cool or anything like that. It's just a different type of music. But when you see that, when you look at an orchestra and you see that doesn't look like you, and you think, I could never do that, or I can never be a part of that, but then you find yourself in a school where you are learning one of those instruments, and then if you're fortunate enough, they've put together an orchestra and you're playing as part of that orchestra. That's an amazing feeling. That's an amazing thing where actually, like, well, I've done this. I've played in an orchestra. What else could I do? Just because the reality at this moment in time doesn't look like me, doesn't necessarily mean that can't be that. And again, that's not something that you say to an 8-year-old, but it's something that will be in their minds, and you can hone and you can cultivate and see it grow and give them belief in themselves to go out and conquer whatever they want to do. So a lot of my work isn't necessarily about making sure kids are going on instruments and making sure they go and play in orchestras. It's just giving them that experience, give them the skills that come with that they can take into other things, and just know that I played a violin. I can play the cello. Like, that's an achievement in itself. And again, kids need all the boosts they can get in life.
Especially now.
Yeah. So again, giving them something like that.
Yeah,
I think is great. And I feel very privileged to be a part of some kids' journeys at this moment in time.
That was such a inspiring answer. I feel a bit regretful that I didn't ever learn a musical instrument now. But
always time. There's always time. It's harder the older you get. It's like anything. But there's always time to just pick something up. And there's something therapeutic about it, or it can be. Like, again, the arts in general, it could just be that you pick up a pencil and doodle something, or, get a colouring book, paint, it's a way of expressing yourself and getting your feelings out, and like I said, it can be therapeutic for you. Obviously, if you're not playing nice stuff, then it might not work. But it's something great for people to enjoy. And, we had builders at our house the other day, they were singing along the whole time they were working. Like, there's so much joy that can come from music if you engage in it. Lots of different
aspects of musicality as well, isn't it? Yeah. I just wanted to pick up on something you said there about sort of the lack of diversity in certain areas of music, potentially. I just wanted to explore that with you on a personal level. So I know that we've talked before, and you made the move from London to a more sort of suburban, well, it's more rural actually, isn't it, area where it's a predominantly white area. And I wanted to ask you about that journey. I know that you moved so that you could have, the children in a sort of a wider open space, and also so that you could make that career leap into music as your career full time. And I just wondered, in terms of your experience of living in a white area, raising multiracial children, and if there are sort of any challenges or barriers that you've had to overcome as a result of that.
We live in a lovely village, and everyone is really lovely. So I can't say that I faced massive barriers in terms of facing any kind of oppression or facing any kind of discrimination. Like, I don't feel that when I'm walking on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Am I aware? I'm always aware. Always aware, always conscious of how I might be portrayed or people might see me. So again, I'm always thinking about that and thinking about just how I hold myself and how I act.
Yeah.
You can integrate, but you can't fully integrate because your experiences are different and my cultural experiences are different with my family. And I don't have any of that here. I don't see any of that here.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why I still enjoy working in London.
Yeah.
Because I can go in and, I always joke about it, but one of the schools that I work in is in Brixton, and when I'm on my way home, I will always stop in the market and I'll pick up some plantain and pick up some patties from a West Indian shop. So I'm not going to get any
You're not going to get it around here.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you miss that. You miss that culture. You miss that diversity. But again, I'm of an age where I've been around it. I know myself. I know my heritage. And I feel like I have a strong sense of that. So my concern isn't so much about me. Yeah. It's actually more for my children. And again, I love the village that they're growing up in. I love the community that they're growing up in. I feel like they're part of the reason that they are becoming lovely, well-rounded people. It's because they're in a lovely school with lovely teachers and lovely pupils around them and classmates. We live in a cul-de-sac where they can just go out and play with their friends, and they're people that they see in school as well as, after school. It's nice, and it's something that you can't always do on the streets of London. Yeah. So they're getting all of these experiences, which is amazing, but they don't see a lot of people like them.
Yeah.
My children are mixed race. They're quite fair. But as soon as I come into the playgrounds, everyone knows, they're definitely black, and there is that thing with mixed race children where like, okay, I'm half white, I'm half black. But black people never see me as being black. White people never see me as being white. Most people would just see me as being black. It's really tough. It's really tough, and it's going to be a journey.
Yeah.
It's going to be a journey for all three of the children. And what I'm conscious of is that, like I've said, like I feel like I have a good knowledge of self and my heritage and my culture. So it's important for me to make sure that the kids get that as well. So when they are starting to ask those questions, or they are being faced with that discrimination, because I know they're going to face more of it as they get older and as they come out of this lovely village and they move more into other parts of the county.
Yeah.
They're going to face different people who will, unfortunately, I'm sure will discriminate against them and ask them challenging questions about themselves and their identity. So for me, it is about just arming them with those skills, knowing what they are, where they come from, why their skin's a different color, who their uncles are and who their cousins are, and seeing that side of the culture where they are only getting this other side of the culture at the moment, you know, and that is just as important. Like I do want them, they're English at the end of the day, so am I, and we should be embracing all of that. But they need to know about their West Indian heritage, and they need to know that that is part of where they come from, and that doesn't define them as being different. It defines them as being special and unique. And this is your experience, and this is what you bring to the table. You are a Scottish, Anglo, Jamaican, Guyanese child. Go forth into the world and take all of that influence that you've got in you and conquer. And you can achieve, and you can go out, and it doesn't matter what anyone says about you, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
But it's not easy, and it wasn't the easiest decision to make. But there's good and bad in everything in life, and you just have to try and weigh things up, and you make the call that you think is right at the time, and you go with it, and you try it out. And like I said, so far it's working. The pandemic didn't help us, like, kind of in terms of engaging in our culture more, but things are lifting more. We can get out more, and I'll always be exposing them to different things, and that's just, for me, the most important thing, basically.
That's very cool. And I'm wondering if you have any ideas as to how early are you having those conversations? I'm just wondering in terms of other parents listening, and if they're going through a similar thing. I
mean, for us, it started quite early. It started, like 4 or 5. Yeah. Definitely starting school was a change. Maya being more inquisitive about things, colouring in different colours, different skin colours, and working out what colour she was, and I'm different to this person, and then whenever we go to London, are all the brown people in London? No, darling, there's just more of them here.
Yeah.
And just starting to have those conversations and feeding in more, getting an atlas out and showing them where we come from and where we are. Books, amazing resources. There's so many amazing books out there that just give that representation and make it normal. Like we don't, and again, I would say, it's the same for all parents. Like you don't have to be black to buy a book with a black child on it. Like everyone can have those books, and it's good for all children to see all of that representation and be aware of that, and to have it from an early age. And I don't know if the colorblind concept really works, because I think we all see color, and we all have our own, kind of similar what we talked about right at the start when we talk about our experiences and our experiences with those different ethnicities, and we're going to carry that in with us. So it's important just to put it out there and let people see it, that there are different people with different shades, with different backgrounds, and this is the world that we live in, and you're a part of that, and you are slightly different to the people that you're around. But again, the knowledge of self, I think that's so important to to just have that strong sense of self, so you don't doubt yourself and don't see yourself as being different and put yourself down for being different or not being accepted.
Yeah.
Accept yourself, know where you are coming from. And, people are struggling with that all the way through their life. It's no easy thing to deal with, but you can only try. You can only try and give them the tools. And again, there's no thing that says I'm getting it right now. There's no book out there that says this is what you should do, and everything that's out there. I think you just feel it out and you talk to people and find out about their experiences and you share and you see what you come up with.
The Twinkl Parents Hub is full of helpful advice, activities and ideas to support people like you. You can find stacks of content to help with your child's learning, blogs packed with fun ideas, and resources to support you and your child's health and well-being. Head to the Twinkl website, click Parents, and see how we can help you survive and thrive. Twinkl Parents, made by teachers, trusted by parents.
I'm wondering, in terms of your family setup and moving forward, how you are going to carry on inspiring them to sort of engage in music and make that part of their sort of everyday life, and just to be stimulated by that art.
No, very simple stuff.
Yeah.
Playing music at breakfast time. And playing different styles of music as well. Just, again, the world that we live in now, all of this music at just the tip of your fingertips. You don't need to be an expert. You can just type in Brazilian music and it will give you a playlist and you can just press play. Yeah. Filling them with different sounds and different ideas. And it's great if you can talk about it. And if you can't, just listen to the music and just say what you think you hear. You don't have to be an expert. It's just about, wow, how does this music make you feel? What do you think about it? How do you feel about it? Close your eyes. What do you see when you hear this music? It can be as simple as that. And obviously you can't really do that with older children. That's just not going to work.
But with younger children especially, and also just making it a very sensory experience. So just using every sense to engage with that piece of music would just be a really engaging
It's massive.
process. Yeah.
And singing.
Yeah.
Singing different commands.
Yeah.
It's something that they use in schools a lot. Please sit down. You're teaching them just basic melodic lines, basically. Very simple, very easy to do. Just make a song about something. We used to have a song about brushing teeth that I used to get them to do, and it was silly and it was just fun. But, they're quite happy singing around the place now. Because I always sing, and again, I'm no great singer in any way, shape, or form. But they see that I have a joy for it and I have a passion for it. And so does the mum. She doesn't do it as much as me, but she does do it as well. So I think those things are important. If your child is on an instrument or has started on an instrument, then it's from what I'm learning in the music education, it's not about telling them every single thing that they do wrong. Just make sure you tell them what they've done right.
Okay.
Encouragement
so
and
reinforce
support.
That praise.
So even if they've sat the right way on their guitar.
Okay.
Well done for sitting. That's great posture. Should we try that again? Let's go again.
Yeah.
And keep them learning. 9 times out of 10, kids kind of know when they're going wrong. So you kind of pointing that out doesn't always help. And 2, they've got a music teacher to do that. Unless you're their music teacher, in which case do whatever you want. But their music teacher will find their way around pointing those things out. And if you can, just engage with their music teacher and let them know what you're doing and ask the music teacher what you can be doing at home. And any good music teacher would want that parent engagement and want to know that the child's being supported at home with practice and rehearsal. And then I think the only other thing is just to go out and experience live music. Again, the world is slowly reopening bit by bit. And if there are places where you can go, even if you're you're going shopping and there's a busker there just playing. Just stop and play. Like there's so many things out there that you can go and experience, and it doesn't have to be a costly experience. It can be affordable. It can even be free. You just have to do some digging around and looking for it, basically.
Okay. Those are amazing top tips. Thank you.
No worries.
I think we're going to have to come to an end, even though I could literally sit here and listen to you for much longer. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I think that was very inspiring, very cool, and I enjoyed every minute of it. So thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for listening, everyone.
Oh, no worries. Take care. Bye.
Bye.